British Columbia has set the extremely ambitious target that by 2032, all new homes need to be net zero emissions ready, or essentially passive houses. Now that is going to take a whole new set of skills and a whole set of upskilling to make that possible. And that's precisely what this building here, the British Columbia Institute of Technology Zero Emissions Building Learning Centre, is hoping to do to bridge that gap and make sure that zero emission building future is possible.
So the ZEB facility we're in is kind of a central location where you can come and learn on zero emission buildings. It's like a big toy store with all sorts of wall mock-ups, heat pumps, heat recovery ventilators, and it's a place where people meet, they talk about the science, they get to do the hands-on exercise and are ready to go back in the field and do the work on a real project.
As part of Clean BC's Road to Net Zero strategy, there's something called the STEP Code, and this is an incremental and tiered approach to ultimately delivering STEP Code Level 5, which is net zero emission ready homes by 2032. And what's really cool about this is that instead of it being a prescriptive sort of tick list of you have to have a heat pump, you have to have solar panels, you have to have insulation, it's a performance-based metric. So there are goals of how efficient that home is, and it means that you can have these really creative ways of achieving that goal. And then once the building is complete, there's energy monitoring, testing for air tightness, and also quantifying the mechanical efficiency and heating needs. And I think that's really cool. That is going to inspire new ways of achieving those really, really efficient homes.
In British Columbia, by 2032, every new construction will have to meet the upper step of the STEP code, which is a step 5 for residential buildings, which means that every new house built in Vancouver will perform like a passive house, really. When I explain passive house principles or step 5 principles to my family, for example, I tell them it's an envelope first approach to getting your building to be comfortable by using almost no energy. And so if you go from there, what does that really mean? It means a lot of insulation, it means really good windows, it means air tightness. And if you do that, then suddenly you also need to be smart about your heating and cooling system and your ventilation system. So you end up with most likely a heat pump system and a heat recovery ventilator. So those would be kind of the 5 principles. What we have in the space here is kind of, the top 5 or top 10 examples of how building to a passive house or a step 5 level in British Columbia could look like. And we're hoping that as the students go home, they can adapt what they learn here to the local reality of their maybe remote community or smaller village and so on. But if you understand the science of step 5 or the science of passive house, ultimately you can do almost whatever you want.
If you want to see everything electric in real life, then join us at one of our Fully Charged live shows around the world.
Next up, we're in Amsterdam for Fully Charged Live Europe on the 24th, 25th and 26th of November.
Get your tickets today.
When we think about decarbonising housing, it's really easy to think that those high-tech solutions are the route to go. But actually, there's a ton of really easy and quite low-cost stuff that we should be doing first. And it's no different to thinking about the fact that if you're cold in your own home, you should first put on a jumper or reconsider your clothing before you switch to turn on the thermostat. And insulation is basically like giving your house a jumper. And there's a ton of different samples behind me, and it's a really good tool to start thinking about how insulated should your house be? What are the different options that exist? And how do they need to complement and work together?
When you look at buildings in the construction industry as a whole, there is a need to educate all the trades, all the designers, architects, engineers on different aspects of what a zero emissions building would look like. One thing we understand clearly about a big segment of the construction industry is that they need to do something with their hands so that they truly retain the new knowledge and are capable of doing it again. And so in a world where you can do webinars and log in to, listen to a PowerPoint, having a physical space where you can go and actually do the work is quite important.
And that's exactly what they do here, is get a chance to work with these different types of insulation, look at different building techniques and actually have a go. But to reach those net zero emission ready homes, obviously insulation is going to get you some of the way there to prevent you from wasting energy, but there is also a requirement for some other technologies, like for example, heat pumps. And Mitsubishi Electric have partnered with the Zero Emission Building Learning Centre to donate these heat pumps, such that people can come in and understand how to install them, how the technology works, and generally just get more familiar with the concept of a heat pump. And that's really critical because Mitsubishi Electric can sell as many heat pumps as they like, but if there aren't the skills there to install them, then that's going to present a little bit of a problem.
There's hundreds of thousands of homes that need to be converted. And the simple basic arithmetic of the number of homes that need to be changed in order for the time frame to meet what the government's mandated for us, we need a huge amount. We need a mobilization army almost in order to be able to accomplish what needs to be done.
There's going to be a need for a transition for many individuals in the industry where the work they're doing today might not be in demand tomorrow. In my mind, gas fitters are a good example where they might be installing furnaces now. If we stop installing furnaces, they won't be unemployed. They could turn around and install heat pumps. And that's kind of the basis of the partnership we did with Ron and Mitsubishi Canada, is to say, hey, you're a gas fitter. You don't need much training before you're ready to go and do quality installations. About a quarter of Canadian tradespeople will retire in the next few years, and we know we have to build a significant amount of new homes for new arrivants, and then we have to retrofit existing homes to meet our 2030 target. So, there's going to be a huge need for people to enter the trades, the green construction trade sector.
Please support our Stop Burning Stuff Patreon and help us to tackle misinformation about electric vehicles and clean energy. Because of these ambitious targets, surely the home builders and renovators should have a healthy incentive to make it possible.
We have federal rebates, which are from the federal government. We have a provincial incentive. We have an incentive from our hydro company, BC Hydro, and we also have rebates from each different municipality. Maximum for federally is $5,000, provincially is $3,000, BC Hydro is $3,000, and municipality, it's usually $1,000 or $2,000 now. There's also federally a different way of looking at it, and they'll extend a $40,000 interest-free loan for 10 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so when I express it, when I'm dealing with dealers, I go $350 a month for 10 years to get you to do, you can do windows, you can do building insulation, you don't have to just do heat pumps. It's all in the upgrade for the step code that's required. So the federal government's making a serious commitment to boosting the situation. You don't get the $5,000, but a $40,000 interest-free loan for 10 years is better.
There are lots of examples of passive houses or step 5 homes that were built in British Columbia in the recent years that were built with the same budget as a regular home. So there's evidence that if you're smart about it, budget doesn't have to be an issue.
By 2030, 16 million homes need to be retrofitted, and an additional 6 million homes are going to be built here in Canada alone.
That's a phenomenal task, and one which is pretty tricky given the fact that 25% of people currently working in trades are set to retire in the next 10 years, leaving a massive skills gap, and one that isn't necessarily bridged by the influx of talent coming into it either. So there's an opportunity to upskill existing people, but also encourage more people to be a part of this future of building net zero emission homes. And frankly, that's such an exciting prospect and should be one that encourages people to enter the trades.
If you enjoyed this episode, then check out our video on air permeability testing, or delve into this one where Phil and Wendy take us around their low carbon self-build and show how they've got their energy costs down to less than £1 a day.